Carlow, I've been in Arklow last week, I've been in Roscrea, I've been in Clare, and this problem that we face in terms of mass migration is happening in towns and villages up and down the country. Frequently when you look even at our small towns and villages, you might as well be in a foreign nation. You know, I was called by a member of the press on Thursday who suggested that given the fact that there was a Palestinian protest on in Cork today, that we should have cancelled this meeting and that we should have cancelled our protest. As far as I'm concerned, that should never be allowed to happen. Many people in our establishment think that Irish people should not be permitted to go onto the streets when there's a Palestinian or an Islamist march. Well, it's time we sent a message. We will not surrender the streets of this country to foreigners or to Islamist aggression. We should be under no doubt whatsoever that our country is under attack and we need to come to its rescue. It is wrong that while we cannot house our own people, that Minister Roderick O'Gorman advertises abroad to import people into this country and guarantees them their own door housing within 4 months. It is wrong that the Ukrainian war is being used as a justification for bringing people into this country, many of whom have no connection whatsoever with Ukraine, and many of whom fly home to get their teeth done or fly home for Christmas. It is wrong to allow massive changes to existing buildings without any need for applying for planning permission. This is unprecedented in our planning code, but it is being used to facilitate the importation of large numbers of people into our country. It is wrong to plead that our health system is being run by imported people, when the reality is that we make it impossible for our own home-trained doctors and medics to work in this country because of poor conditions. It is absolutely wrong to make greater provision in welfare for people who have no historical connection with this country, while Irish people are left on the waiting list. We need to set all these wrongs to right. We need justice for Ireland and for the Irish people. We need to defend our country from the evil that has taken root in government. And when I look around me, I believe that the Irish people are finally about to make their anger felt, and not before it's time. It is clear to me that the government has lost control of our borders and of our immigration policy. Ireland now has the highest number of foreign-born people per head of population of any European country. While all of this is going on, it seems that the great majority of our politicians are far more concerned about what's happening in Gaza than they are about what's happening in Ireland. If our government continues to have complete disregard to proper procedures and to the rule of law, if it continues to refuse justice for Ireland, then this country will descend into legal and moral chaos. Our immigration regime only makes sense if the government and the European Union is intent on breaking the connection of the people of this country with their historic nation. That has indeed been a long-term strategy of government and of European Union planners. If the nation can be broken, then the people can be controlled and manipulated all more easily. For the sake of Ireland and for Europe, we must bring this madness of mass migration into Europe to an end. And that will be our priority in the Irish Freedom Party when we are elected to the European Parliament. I've attended... 100%! This is not just an Irish matter. It is a matter which is causing enormous concerns throughout the continent of Europe. The European Commission is terrified that the European elections in June will result in a majority parliament which is opposed to the mass migration into the continent and it is intent on returning power to the nation states where it belongs. Let's send a message loud and clear to the European Commission. The Irish nation is not finished, and we will never surrender to the forced plantation of our homeland.
Never.
It was said in the 1960s that the winds of change were sweeping through Africa. I believe that the winds of change are now beginning to sweep through Europe. Ireland needs to ride that wind of change, and with your help we will do so. That is why I'm here to ask for your #1 vote in the European Parliament elections for Ireland South on June the 7th. If ever there was a government which badly needed a bloody nose, it is this one. They have betrayed our country in every way imaginable. Ireland has a right to opt out of European migration policy under the Lisbon Treaty, and in the European Parliament we will insist that that opt-out is respected. We will also demand an end to the Europe-wide accession to the 1967 Asylum Protocol, which is clearly no longer fit for purpose. You know, I live near Shannon Airport, and I often talk to the guys who work on aircraft maintenance. One of the biggest problems they have is cleaning out the toilets from the passports that have been flushed down the toilets. 80% of the people who come to this country claiming asylum arrive without passports, despite the fact that they boarded their planes with passports. If we don't realise that we're being gamed, then we must be blind. Our government must be aware of this, but they will not lift a finger to stop it. It's time to stop being gamed, and it's time to put an end to this.
No legislation.
We'll fix that. I'd like to thank Derek and his team for all that they have done in terms of highlighting what is happening in our schools and in our libraries. Our government now seems to have adopted en masse a series of radical and destructive policies, such as the promotion of trans activism and homosexual pornography in our schools and our libraries. Many young women in particular say to me that this is something that terrifies them, and rightly so. The only response of government to parents' concerns is to call them bigots and to introduce draconian anti-free speech legislation, the hate speech laws. The right to free speech in this country and in this continent is under serious attack. No country can remain a democracy in the absence of free speech, and we utterly oppose the hate speech legislation, which has caused alarm throughout the world, including the United States Senate, and which bids fair to make Ireland turn into a pariah state. Did anybody believe that elected representatives in Galway County Council would have dawn raids in their houses from the Garda Síochána because they dared to speak out against the government's migration policy? That is a foretaste of what we all face if the hate speech legislation is enacted, and if we do not stand up to Varadkar, Martin and Lou MacDonald and the rest of them, then we are in real danger of becoming a police state in Ireland. Remember, these hate speech laws and trans laws derive directly